Hi, everybody. This is my dad.
This is my kid.
And we are comics and other cons.
And other cons.
So basically, we're a father-daughter duo, and we spend most of our time watching nerdy stuff, talking about comic books. We talk a lot of shit. We curse a lot. Fun fact. And we
get that from your mama.
Anyway, we decided that we were going to share our very fun conversations with you all at home in terms of what we discuss whenever we watch either various TV shows, whether they're comic book related or various movies. And we decided that we were going to start with What If? Any opening words, Pop?
Yeah, hold on for a minute. Let me check. And hold on, let me give a listen. Okay.
Wait, quick hand check.
Yeah. Well, we got to check for lotion too.
Yeah.
You know, and the deodorant's good. And
I just showered.
And we do that because we see Black people, especially, because white people can get away with this. We see Black people who do YouTube shows and their hands are dried up and cracked up, no lotion, and
ashy.
Whenever I see like Black people doing a try-on haul,
mm-hmm.
or dare I say it, even in like Black porn, whatever, the goddamn beeping from the smoke detectors. Don't we know what that means?
I mean, you and I know.
We're gonna die having sex with Fashion Nova on. We're gonna burn up. That's what's gonna happen to us. So Black people, please do your batteries. Please put some lotion on and use some deodorant. It's no secret. So yeah, no, we're just gonna talk as if we're just talking to each other so that everybody understands that. And we won't be in any particular order as far as sequence of events, because when most of the time when people are talking about a movie they saw or anything, they always talk out of sequence. So we're going to talk just like we normally would talk. And I will let my kid go first.
Okay. So this is based off of What If episode 2, the one where it's what if T'Challa was Star-Lord. So of course, the opening scene is Star-Lord walking in and he's stealing the orb. And we all remember this from Guardians. He just didn't have the very cool sing-songy intro, but I'm sure he would have been very good at it.
And I'm going to cut you off because he also didn't have that. See, now T'Challa was cool, but what he didn't have was that hard ass pimp walk that Winter Soldier has.
Yeah, nobody will have that other than the Dora Milaje.
Because look, when Bucky was going into Madripoor and he was crossing that bridge,
yeah,
I almost yelled the N-word, but I'm telling you, that
so much shoulder work.
Man, he had more swagger than Sam had, and it was Sam's show.
Right.
But anyway, we digress. Go ahead.
But it was the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so we had to let the Winter Soldier have a moment. So
he did until the Dora Milaje showed up, and then he had to back up off of that.
Well, no, he had a moment. He had a moment until Zemo had his moment in Madripoor. Right.
I know, man. That looked like something else, but it was a shake weight.
This is a shake weight.
Yes.
They still have those on sale, by the way.
Yes.
You can get them from Amazon.
Watch out for the beeping.
No, we are not being sponsored by them, but please feel free to buy them anyway.
Yes.
So we're at this opening scene and he steals the orb, and who walks in? Korath.
Who?
Except this time he knows who Star-Lord is and is obsessed with him.
A fanboy. I mean, a real fanboy.
Right. Like, put your guns down, show some respect.
Yeah, hey, don't you know who that is? What the hell's wrong
Right.
with you?
Right. Wants to join the crew, asks if they're hiring. Sorry, we're actually having a hiring freeze, much like things in America. So so then he, takes down all three of them. Korath seems to enjoy the takedown because he says classic Star-Lord and then falls with a very large smile on his face.
Now he says classic Star-Lord throughout the show. So
Right.
you can appreciate that he has a tagline, as it were, and that's his tagline.
Right.
Because peppered throughout the show, every time they're doing something where he gets to talk, he says classic Star-Lord.
Right.
So
I mean, he's been following him, he follows him on whatever galactic version of YouTube is out there, I'm sure.
Apparently in the worst way. So
and I think one of the first things I noticed and that I said while I was watching the episode was when he gets excited and he's like, I feel like we should kneel or maybe we should bow. Like, I'm not sure you are a Lord. And the first thing I thought of was when Cap and Widow and I think Rhodey and Bruce were arriving at Wakanda, and Bruce doesn't know how to act, and so Rhodey's like, oh well, he's a king, you have to bow. And as soon as he gets over there, he starts to bow, and T'Challa's like, oh, we don't do that. He's like, what are you doing? Well, we don't do that here.
That's why white people are calling the cops on us now, because they don't trust us. We give them some information and then it looks stupid, and then they say, we'll fix your black ass. So we probably should stop bothering them because we know what happens to us later.
Right. Also, Rhodey, if he gets mad and turns into the Hulk, you won't win that fight. So
yeah,
just food for thought in future interactions. So that just kind of brought that back for me, where I just really felt like that was funny. And then I think one of the things that I realized that they had when he walked out of there with Korath on his back after Yondu came and whistle while he worked, they basically still had the same father-son bond that he and Quill had in the other universe. Now that there's a multiverse, now that we can say it out loud.
Well, what I found interesting in that relationship, while there was a father-son relationship in both, Peter Quill always kind of got on Yondu's nerves. They got on each other's nerves. Whereas in this one, it was more mellow. They had slight disagreements, but they squashed them quickly.
Right.
And nobody wanted to eat T'Challa, except Nebula. I think she,
Cha-cha.
I think she ain't going back. So
anyway, all right. Listen, I'm still your kid, all right? Adult and all. Still your child. Thank you. Thanks, Pop. So anyway, with that father-son bond, I can't stand you. With that father-son bond, there was that part, and this is where we said we would be jumping around, right at the end of that episode where he said, ain't no way in hell I'm leaving without my kid. I was like,
yes.
He said something similar when in Guardians 2, when he saved Peter, that he felt that Peter was his kid. And I was like, oh.
And for the most part, he kind of was.
Yeah.
He in the Guardians, he was always bringing up how he was saving them from being eaten and all that stuff, because he showed protectiveness to Peter as a father figure would.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate that when they're carrying Korath down the steps, walking out towards the ship, and he says, yeah, we we should, if this was the old days, we would have done this.
Mhm.
And T'Challa said, if this was the old days, you'd be missing half your teeth. Because we have to realize in the movies, Yondu, half his teeth were gold. So apparently he'd been getting his ass whooped and they've been knocking his teeth out. So he'd been replacing them. So now he has all of his teeth. So, yeah.
I think another big part for me that I really was very pleasantly surprised at was Nebula. So now that her and good old dad got along and he didn't have to literally tear her apart and ruin her entire life and turn her into a cyborg robot thing. She only was missing the one eye and it looked like it was for the most part replaced. And then I think what you said in comparison, like the Jessica Rabbit look, she definitely had that in that dress.
She looked like she had the hair where the hair was, and the hair was curled down to cover that eye.
Right.
And I'm trying to understand, I'm wondering, because I didn't know much about Nebula. Every time I used to see Nebula, she didn't have hair. So I'm trying to understand, is it because this is What If? And now not only is she not a complete cybernetic being, but she actually grew hair, has hair.
So in the comic books, she does have hair.
Okay.
Prior to Thanos, she has hair.
Okay.
I don't think it was blonde. I think it was blue, but yeah.
Okay. See, I never really followed the character, so I didn't know. But that's good to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was like a very much a femme fatale, and it was pretty obvious that she and T'Challa had done the damn thing.
Cha-cha.
Oh man, when she said cha-cha the first time, I was like, the fuck? I go, oh man, see, we can't have black people in the galaxy nowhere, because no matter what it is, we gonna get it. We don't care.
Yeah, no. Lots of fun sexual innuendos and tension there.
Yes.
So she got Peter quilled.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a
Salt
thing.
Peter.
That's a thing. We've made that a thing. We said it on the channel first here. It's a thing. Anyway. So
talk about sticky fingers. That wasn't the first time they used sticky fingers. Oh man.
Here we go. So I guess when another part when they were sitting in that bar after they sat down to kind of go over the plan, she refers to dear old dad as the big guy, and that's when he said, you know, he really has changed. He gardens now. Right. And the first thing we thought about was he was gardening at the end of Infinity War.
That's it.
And because that's before Thor went for the head.
Yeah, which, you know, it's funny enough that later on when he's fighting the Ebony Maw, well, not Ebony Maw, when he's fighting the people who used to work for him, and they beat him down. And at the very end, when they're about to strike the last blow, the chick is about to go for the head.
Right.
And he is saved. The irony, of course, is that it's what he told Thor he should have done. And here she is, Proxima Midnight, about to go for the head. And I thought that was great because you could see they just pan down to his head and his neck, and she draws back. It was just great. It was great. Marvel does what they did in episode 1 and what they've done in their Avengers movies and ultimately in Endgame, which is the totality of it all, is they gave us great fan service for everybody who knew and followed and watched all these movies in the MCU, that they did callbacks in it. Well, they all, so far, they're doing a lot of callbacks. You just have to pay attention
Right.
And you would have to know everybody that giggles and laughs every time something happens. Those are the people that know. The people who are like, what's if you're sitting there with somebody who hasn't watched all the movies, they won't understand why something was funny, or why you're clapping. It's because it was a callback that we got.
Right. So as Nebula and Cha-Cha continue to talk, that's when they go rejoin the group, and Captain Genocide joins. And
Did you notice? Did you catch when Korath said, "Yeah, in case Captain Genocide over here"? And did you see Thanos give him the side eye when he said it? And then that payoff comes later on.
Right. And interesting, my dad and I were doing this probably before it was in the movies. We only call each other by like dad and child, in the same way that like Thanos and Nebula or Thanos and Gamora pretty much just say dad and daughter. So we're along those lines.
Yes.
But she's adopted. They pointed that out in a similar fashion to the way that that Thor very quickly like dropped him after claiming him as his brother, and then he killed 87, or however many people in a couple of hours, and then they were like, oh, okay, no, he's adopted.
Yep.
He was my brother all the way up until you told me all of that shit, and then he's adopted.
So that was 3 times. Because the other time when he was with the Collector, the Grand Master, and it came up, and he says, "That's my brother," and then Loki said, "Oh no, we're adopted." Yeah. So that's 3 times that was paid off. 3 times about somebody being adopted, 2 of which was Loki and Thor.
And then they talk, T'Challa brings up the fact, he was like, yeah, no, I've been trying to get them into family counseling for years. And, professionally, I work in mental health. So it was just very funny knowing like their history. A
lot of the humor was really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So in that respect, some of the humor really reminded me of, say, an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was quick. A lot of it was fast. They said it, they did it, they kept going, they moved, they did it, they kept going. And you had to really be paying attention. And in Marvel's instance, you had to get the callbacks because they were quick when they happened. So it was very good. It was very fluid.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah. How did the Collector get all of those weapons from the Avengers?
Well, I think that's a thing that is going to be left up to everyone's imagination, because he had them all.
Like the Pokemon.
Yeah, he had everything. He did. He really did. And mind you, despite the fact that most of the weapons that you see there were destroyed,
right?
But mind you, this is the. But then we also have to go back to what you said from the beginning and remember, this is now the multiverse. So he could have gone in any timeline and gotten those things.
Right.
Not from our timeline, not from 616.
He probably swooped in and took Mjolnir from Fat Thor, as he was calling him in that one scene. And that's why it took so long.
That's doable.
Yeah.
That's doable.
What about you, Pop? What were some things that you recognized or remember from the episode?
Well, I'll give a brief. I wrote down a few things, some old chicken scratch here.
Me too.
And the health department is coming about that fucking chicken. Oh, fucking chicken. So, at the top of my summary of things I noticed was Thanos, Nebula, and Korath steal the whole show at every scene that they are in. Every scene. And I'm telling you, I could almost hear a little bell, like on YouTube for subscribe, every time she said cha-cha.
Speaking of which, feel free to like and subscribe after you watch this video. I'm sure you're gonna love it. We're super fancy. We're also very simple, and we just like to talk a lot of shit and just talk about comic books. So feel free to click that subscribe button at the bottom, click the bell so you get notifications, and like this video. Thanks.
I like that T'Challa made the perfect Star-Lord, and that is not to take anything away from the Peter Quill Star-Lord. His version of Star-Lord was very different. He was a thinking Star-Lord. He didn't just run in and like steal some shit and whatever.
And just have 12% of a plan.
Correct. Okay. So, and these Ravagers were not just a bunch of jackasses standing in a circle.
It's true.
So,
they were a bunch of a-holes.
They were. Yeah. I was a little sad that Angela Bassett's character didn't have any dialogue, because I'm not sure if they got Angela Bassett to do any voice acting. I hope they did, but if they didn't, just as well. But I think we're going to see her again, because when you look at the promo, there's a point where you see Angela Bassett screaming, and apparently they're on an attack or something. And so hopefully that's further down this season, and we should get some dialogue from her.
She's
I'm
probably
hoping.
yelling E-Bombay.
Yeah, there you go. Thanos does get that snap in.
He does. And
so
he makes sure to let everyone know that it's efficient.
Correct. It's, even though it still sounds like genocide, that was, and I appreciate that gag ran from the time we saw Thanos till the end of the thing when they're in Wakanda. And he's still saying, yeah, T'Challa talked me out of it, but my plan still would have worked.
Right.
And every time
it was like, no,
so
my friend, that sounds
it's
exactly
still
like
genocide. Lilu Dallas, Corbin Dallas. So it's still multipass.
Right.
The Nebula calling T'Challa Cha-Cha. Come on, man. Come on. That was beautiful. And she had that, again, that's why I brought up Jessica Rabbit. She had that sultry voice. She looked great in that dress. She
did.
Cartoon or not, I'd have hit that. I'd have had some real blue balls then. I think I wrote that down too.
In your show notes, you put those words?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, everybody picture this. This is some Golden Girl shit. Picture this. A catwalk, the Collector, and our man from Captain America and the Winter Soldier, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Don't come for us in the comments. It's now Captain America. Everybody,
yes,
down.
Zemo and the Collector, both with those coats on,
right,
having a battle on the runway. Come on,
a dance battle.
They're gonna work. Each of them get their music, and each of them get to walk, and every once in a while they got the coats, and then Zemo puts the mask on, and then the Collector puts the headdress from Hela on, and he was incredibly flamboyant, like a steroid jacked up Liberace or something.
Right.
He was great. Oh man, he says, "Oh, that woman has taste."
Right.
It was just incredible. I love that coat, man. That was also, he also reminded me of wrestling, of Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Okay.
He was just, it was so far out there. I could just see the two of them on the runway. I like that the ship was named the Mandela. It's the little touches and attention to detail that mean so much to us as fans, and how much they show, how much they appreciate T'Challa.
Right.
And how much they appreciate the Black fan base.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
We don't have a lot of superheroes that look like us. So
T'Challa's eyes when he has the mask on are purple, as is a lot of his outfit, more purple. And I think that's because that's more about Wakanda.
Right.
As opposed to Star-Lord Peter Quill, his eyes were red.
Okay.
So the voice acting was great. The entire Ravager crew as a support was great.
Taserface is back.
From the start, when they go, Captain, he's got 2 ear holes, 2 eye holes, and 1 eat hole. So, and then he goes,
morons brought back the wrong kid.
You telling me he really looks like, and then they show the little white kid and then what's Taserface say?
I don't know. All humans look alike to me.
So I can appreciate him saying that they all look alike, and then there's a little black kid right there. So they all look alike to me. So, so yeah, and you can appreciate the fun in that wasn't just because he was black, but because they actually were supposed to go get a white kid.
Right.
Like, and you think with all this technology, they would have had a picture of him. And I that's what I can't understand. It's the picture. So like, the moment that I guess everything changed was that he outsourced picking him up.
Right.
Because they picked him up at the hospital when he went out.
Right.
When it was Peter Quill. And this time he sent these 2 dumbasses to go pick him up. And
I don't know who's dumber, these 2 or Parlay.
Yeah. Parsnips?
Parsley.
Yes.
It's more of a guideline. It's fine.
Yes. And they picked him right up by his bootstraps.
Bootstraps.
There you go. So, yes, by the way, people, when we talk, anytime we say anything that we can reference back to a movie, we tend to say that line. So whether we're talking on the phone, if we're in person, we do all kinds of shit. You know, my child has had a terrible childhood thanks to me. So, all right. So what's color?
What?
What's color? Red.
Red.
Blue.
Red.
Put on your robe gray bonnet with a blue ribbon. So that's a Bugs Bunny shit. Come on now, that's great.
We do that all the time. My mom at this point is just used to it, and it doesn't faze her anymore in the way that it does literally anyone who does.
Yeah. We'd be out somewhere and we'd start doing that, with the wolf and Bugs Bunny singing, and people look at us like we were crazy or something, and they weren't necessarily.
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong. So, it was a blast from start to finish. It was another exceptional, touching end after the show finished, just before the credits. The dedication to Chadwick. I think one of the things that people either don't realize or didn't research a lot is that during a lot of these movies, he was going through cancer. He was going through treatment,
stage
surgeries,
cancer.
I mean, for a lot of us, you stub your toe, you're out of work for several days.
You're basically dead.
Yeah, I mean, and it was some incredible intestinal fortitude that man had to function at a level that nobody knew that he was going through. You couldn't tell.
Right.
You had no idea he was going through anything. And I appreciate that they showed love for him and as a person, and that all shone through, and his character shone through the entire show that they did. I like when they were back on the Wakandan spaceship, that that he was told no matter where he went, no matter what people were there, he would essentially be welcome there. There's no place in the universe that he would not be welcome. And that is not some shit that would have been told to Peter Quill. Right. So
these are the list of planets you cannot go to.
Yes.
Peter.
Peter Quill would have been getting one of these.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know how this machine worked.
Yes. So it has been an incredible roller coaster ride on the What If series. I appreciated that in this episode, and I don't know if they're going to do this more and more, but in this episode, I realized that we saw the we saw the Watcher like 3-4 times.
Right.
I appreciate the very first time we see him, it turns out that that's a reflection of him on water.
Yeah.
And T'Challa's walking and steps on the water. And then we see him when they leave. And then we see him again. So there was a lot of Watcher sightings, when he was there. It wasn't just him talking. He talked a lot, but we saw the Watcher. And I wonder if they're going to do that. Yeah. I wonder if they're going to do that more in future episodes. Because I suspect if this is anything ultimately like comics, at some point when you take the Watcher with the Fantastic Four at the coming of Galactus, he does interfere. So I wonder if the Watcher, much like Thor in Ragnarok, will be putting together a team.
The Revengers.
Yes. And meanwhile, Bruce is like, I don't know if I'm on board with this. I'm undecided.
Thor's really
and Tony wears his pants so tight.
Yeah, I mean, but it's Tony. Thor's not been great at like formulating team names. Like he's good at formulating teams, but I mean, like the Revengers. I mean, they broke up. We don't know what's gonna happen with Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I wonder if Party Thor coming up in this show, if he's going to be putting some name together, will they allow him to try to name the group that we see that is no longer the conventional Avengers we knew, but in the What If it's a different group, and will he have a part in trying to name that?
I'm sure he will. I just feel like at this point it's like a trademark for him or something.
So, and because we are fancy folk into horology. Yeah, I know how that sounds. And it's true. We're into whores because we are whores. But I am wearing my nice spiffy Invicta Black Panther watch. Yummy all night. What you wearing, kid?
And I have my Invicta Shuri Black Panther watch. So it goes very well with my shirt, being that it is purple. I did that on purpose.
There you go.
So we're fancy. Get over it.
So we got to give up some Wakanda forever love here. There you go. All right, white people, turn back around. It's okay. But yeah, no, so far, I really love this episode. So far as the most touching episode, so far, this is the winner for the most touching episode. The amount of guests that are on this show, guest stars, it is clearly the winner. I mean, we got a line this long of guests on that show, on this episode. And it's only going to grow with each episode. And we have to keep I find part of the fun of watching this, and by the way, I've watched it 4 times now.
I have watched it 3 times.
Part of the fun going forward with this is how many Easter eggs can you catch?
Right.
like in all the ships that were in the bay that the collector had gotten. I don't know how he gets all this shit. How many callbacks do you notice? How many little subtle changes? Like you had to really look carefully to see that the ship said Mandela. You had to pay attention.
Right.
But how many of these things going forward will we get? And how many viewings does it take for you to get to the center of that Tootsie Roll?
Right.
That Tootsie Pop. So
it's more than
Marvel. 3. Yeah, yes. Marvel is doing an incredible bang up job on these shows thus far. And for the fans, the MCU fans, for comic fans, it's incredible. The animation style is beautiful. The use of lighting is amazing. It really sets the scene, the way that they use lighting. When T'Challa and his father are standing in the palace by the throne, and you can see the bright sun bleeding in on them. It's incredible. It is very good use.
And if you didn't know that this episode was about what if T'Challa was Star-Lord, the lighting at the beginning when he walks in, you can't tell that he's black or white.
Correct.
So if you didn't know that this was about him, you would have assumed until he started talking that this is the normal Star-Lord that you knew from the movies. I made sure to look at that carefully because you can't tell. I said, let me just see. But you really can't tell when he has the mask on and when he's doing whatever that he's black or white. They make sure that his hand is like in such a shade of
you never see any of his skin. You never see any of that. Now, here's something to ponder. If we didn't have another Star-Lord and someone else was Black Panther, in the movies, the actual movies, would T'Challa, as the character he portrayed in this What If, still be a good Star-Lord?
Ravager?
Yeah, would he still be a good Ravager? Or is all of that premised on how he was as a person and how he was as Black Panther?
I think it's prefaced off of how they expected that he was raised in Wakanda in the same way as if he were to become Black Panther versus if he was like taken before he had his chance.
Right.
But I wonder, like you said, if he wasn't Black Panther in that sense, he probably wouldn't have been able to have that same like fortitude with, how he was raised, and he just would have been like Peter.
And I love the fact that Drax's family, his wife and daughter, were alive. I mean, they worked this thing beautifully. They worked this thing beautifully. And so that would have meant the Nova Corps. Well, as far as we know, the Nova Corps, based on this episode, that they had all survived because he didn't go around killing everybody.
And the Kree sounds like they were also defeated, at least for Drax's planet. So the Kree probably aren't messing with Xandar.
Right.
But both of Thanos' daughters have ended up with a Star-Lord.
True. It was either him or a tree.
Right. So there we go.
Yep. Well, I enjoy it, and I am looking forward to it. I mentioned this before to you, kid, offline. One of the things that I noticed that when they have the collector in his cage, in a case, and they open the doors of all the other beings that are alive, and as they're all heading towards his case, and Karina opens the case, they walk and sound as if they're zombified, and they're all mumbling and groaning.
Oh yeah.
And growling. And I know in later episodes that there'll be zombies. And I don't know if that'll be in a different multiverse, in a different reality other than the one that we're that they are in all these, or did they all bleed into one?
Mhm.
But it's funny, you didn't hear anybody yelling, "Let's get them," or "Let's fuck them up," or something like that. It was just, that's all you heard was a bunch of growling, and they walked really slow as if they were zombies. Like nobody rushed over to like, I'm gonna beat his ass first.
Right.
But I don't know that that means anything. But I found that fascinating. That I was like, man, is this where the zombies come from? Because I mean, why is everybody walking really slow and just growling? But I didn't hear any intelligible voice.
Right.
You know, because if there was a black guy that was caught, he'd be like way in the back yelling, "Fuck him up!"
Right. No,
like
he
that.
would.
So you didn't hear anybody.
The
The only person who spoke was Karina.
Right.
So none of the captors spoke.
Hmm.
And all of the captors were capable of speaking, mind you.
Right.
But none of them spoke. So I found that interesting. Like I said, all they did was, they all walked slowly towards him, and growling and grunting and like Joss Whedon, grr, arg.
Yeah.
Like that.
Joss, don't come for us. We were just giving you,
he got enough trouble with come for women and stuff like that.
Bad robot.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So
speaking of which, what the hell was that at the end? The closing of the episode, possibly the end of the world, when Ego finds his son because the Ravagers didn't, however many years ago.
Yeah, well, that will either play into another episode, or maybe that's something that they can use for next season. It's like anything else where somebody's like telling a story. They were telling you the story of this thing, and then it goes into the show, and then it comes back to them, and then they tell you about this thing, and they go, "Oh, but that's the story for another time."
Right.
Like how they ended the original Arnold Schwarzenegger with Conan. And they started talking about he went on to do this, and he goes, but that's a story for another time. So yeah. And it's the character, the modeled character looked exactly like Kurt Russell. I'm telling you.
No, seriously.
They look just like Kurt Russell.
Exactly like him.
So
unlike his poor son, who looked like the old man from Up.
Oh, that poor fucker. That was.
Oh shit.
That was. Oh man. Now I'll say in his defense, despite that little setback, he played the shit out of that character.
No, he did.
That character was designed for you to have the feelings that you had about him, and he needs an Emmy for that. He needs a nomination for that, because he played the hell out of that character who was going through something. And just slightly off track of the what if, that it was an unfortunate reminder when they dishonorably discharged him,
right,
and left him with no benefits. So they broke him, and then they didn't like give him treatment. Okay, so he why would you take his pension and his medical benefits? He's obviously disturbed.
But also you created him.
Well, like I said, that's, and that will just help push him farther as a U.S. agent.
Right.
Because, the government did him wrong. But yeah, I love the animation. I love the artwork. Like I said, it's beautiful. The 3D models with the toon shading and the use of the lighting and the effects, it's just beautiful. Both episodes are top as far as the animation style. And do you remember us talking years ago when we used to like get all the DC animated movies? And DC had animated TV shows. And remember we said Marvel really gave up on animation. Like they don't do any, they did a couple and then they just stopped. I guess Marvel said, you know what? Let's let's just stick with these movies in the theater because
Right.
DC, so they decided we'll stick with that because DC's got this animation shit on lockdown. Right. So let's just play to our strengths, and that's what they did. They essentially abandoned animation, and when they came back with this, it was incredible. It's like Marvel jumped right up in the driver's seat.
I think they poached some of those DC animators because there's like, listen, no.
Well, no, but think about this. Look at the way some of the artwork is. Remember, it is Disney Marvel.
Right.
They source a lot of stuff from Disney. If
And
you look
Pixar.
carefully at a lot of the coloring, like the lines, they don't use the simple black inking lines. Right. They use a color line, a dark contrasting color of what they're going across, say like for the jawline. It's not just a black inking line. Right. So they use that, and that is straight from Disney. It's straight from Disney. The rosy cheeks that everyone has, the way that the light is used. They took that straight from Disney and Pixar. So they have that on their side with animation. So they're using what they have in their wheelhouse and to great effect. So
the point we're trying to make, Mr. Feige, Mr. Faribault, Miss Alonso,
and Victoria Alonso,
Mr. Despacito. If you guys are just like watching this, we are big fans, and we're also artists in our own right. So, just like reach out to us maybe if you feel like it. We're happy to help join the team.
In case you need some extras on this or The Mandalorian.
Right,
Because my Filoni has a first name.
And my backpack has jets.
There you go. It's a gangster's paradise.
It is.
So,
if you just like need people or opinions or artwork or just like anything.
We got you.
Yeah.
So, where do we rate this episode in the thumb scale?
So, in terms of the animation and the use of lighting, definitely 2 thumbs up. In terms of, I think, the emotional effect that this episode had, also 2 thumbs up.
But those thumbs are way up.
Yes.
Those thumbs are way up.
Very much so. I think the action doesn't compare in the same way as it did to Captain Carter, because she just was fucking people up everywhere. Like, she didn't care who you were or what kind of Nazi you were or were not. She didn't give shit.
And I agree with you, but I think it was a different kind of action that was needed.
Right.
What they were trying to prove is Captain Carter was all about muscle and strength.
Right.
This show was more about the thinking. With the muscle and shit was a secondary component of it, but the primary was more thinking and diplomacy.
Right.
But and you can't compare the action because she was whooping people's ass. I mean, she
really was.
She was whooping people's ass, something terrible. So we it's different. But yes, I agree that the action was relatively subdued. Right up until Thanos started knocking out 6 and 7 dudes standing there with one punch. And I'd hate to have been the first guy. Right. Because you got all the chest caving in of that punch. And then your head broke, your back's broke because you got slammed into the guy. Yeah, it's. Or
when Tavon was fighting Yondu and T'Challa.
Yeah. Them Wakandan kneecaps, they must be reinforced with vibranium. So
I certainly hope so.
And it just from the very beginning, the kid just gave it up, right? He goes, "Oh, what you probably were reading is that big mountain of vibranium that we sitting on top of."
Right.
I go, "What the hell?"
An ancient meteor. Sir, who are you? What?
Yeah.
Where's the secrecy, sir?
Really? Is that
They're
right? Yeah, I know.
literally
He's
in a
just
shield.
telling.
There's
you
a
know.
whole shield that's blocking you, and that's what you said? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
We didn't give him the nuclear codes, so it's fine.
So yeah.
We didn't even give them a Starbucks.
And you also appreciate, because it was a show and it was a what if, and we understood the premise of it all. There was never a whole thing about they still kidnapped him.
Yes.
And they said, oh, well, he went with him. But no, he can't go with them. Okay. They still kidnapped him.
Can't consent. Yeah. Not only.
But it was beautifully done. And we allowed that.
Right.
Wait.
Don't worry.
Services.
Social
worker.
Social worker here.
For the nature of the show,
right.
We put our hand out and waited for Mjolnir to come.
Right.
And hey, we're gonna show you the whole universe and everything else, and it was exactly what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and when the father says there's nothing out there except those two things and this and that, that reminds me of when Chadwick as the Black Panther, when he first meets Proxima Midnight, and he tells her a similar thing. He says, there's nothing here in what you won't find anything here in Wakanda except blood and dirt.
We brought
blood to spare.
Also, fucking Natasha, where's your friend?
Yeah, she started some shit up there. So yeah, that might have gone differently, but that was like in Tombstone when they were at the OK Corral and everybody was just kind of standing there all tense, and then Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday looks at one of the guys and goes like that, and the guy goes, and Wyatt goes, oh my God, like, Doc, what the fuck, Doc? We were just about to have this thing peaceful. See, that's why I need those wireless earbuds. I almost tore my goddamn ear out just then. And then unlike Star-Lord, I would have had one ear hole.
Yes.
But yeah. I just love it. It's like I can't wait for Wednesdays.
I know.
And I don't know what the next thing that they're gonna have, because now there's a vacuum at Friday because the Bad Batch is finished.
Right.
So we got to eventually we'll get something, I guess, from Star Wars. Well, I think the next, I don't remember the next thing the next thing that comes out, the Book of Boba Fett. That's in December.
I think so.
Because there's two movies coming out. There's Shang-Chi.
There's 3 movies. Okay. Shang-Chi in September.
Right.
Eternals in November.
Correct.
Spider-Man in December.
That's right. So we'll have enough, but it's like there's a vacuum of Friday now. So we got used to Wednesday and Friday, and they're gonna have to figure out something for Wednesday.
And this is 9 episodes?
For Friday, excuse me. Yes.
So this will roll us into covering October because there's nothing movie-wise coming out in October. So this will cover us for that, and then the Eternals is in November.
Right.
Which we'll be doing a video on the movies as well.
Yeah, we'll be moving forward with this. We've been talking about doing this for a while, and we finally decided, okay, let's get going and do this.
Sometimes it takes us a while to do stuff. It took us a while to get an Instagram page, which, by the way, is called Comic and Other Cons. And there's a picture of us in our cosplay as Thor and Gamora, which is what we do when we go to Comic-Con. Yes. Except during a pandemic, we don't.
Yes. Yeah, we won't be going this year because the Delta variant. That's what you want.
Even though we're vaccinated, we are not taking that chance.
Because I'm past 57. So
it's true.
And I always play the same character in when we cosplay for Comic-Con, and we go to the big one New York Comic-Con. San Diego bitches. We'll get some East Coast, West Coast.
Right.
You know, for Biggie and Tupac, we gonna get that party started again.
And we are from Brooklyn, so
You
Biggie.
bet your ass. Bed-Stuy, people.
Right.
Ooh, that was close. And I am the traditional, I dress as the traditional Jack Kirby Thor. I have the blonde, the helmet with the wings, the disc decorations, the blue leggings, the yellow wrappings, similar to my light-skinned brother back here. But I am the black son of Odin. I am the Broden son. See, everybody. Let's face it. No matter what time you go to, everybody white got a black kid somewhere.
He's very proud of that.
Asgard is no different. Cotton come to Harlem. So, yes.
So
yeah,
this
that's
is our
us.
cosplay.
Yep. And my daughter plays. Go ahead, kid.
Gamora. So I dress as Gamora every year. I used to dress as both Gamora and Ivy, but now that I have two different outfits, actually 3 different outfits for Gamora, I've pretty much stuck consistently to Gamora. I'm gonna try to change it up a little bit and see if I can get the yellow outfit, the jumpsuit when she's in jail, and then I'll have a 4th outfit. And it's very painstakingly long sometimes to paint, just because it's a full, for the first year that we really seriously went and like cosplayed, it was like I did the Gamora from the comic books, and this is an up close picture of what it looks like for the makeup. I straighten my own hair, so it's not a wig. It's not a wig. It's not. His is.
But you also did
with the space.
No, the white chick with the black and yellow.
Oh, from Watchmen.
Yes. So that was good time. So.
And that was the year that there were a lot of Black cosplayers dressed as different characters from the Watchmen. That was not planned. It was the opposite of planned. We just ran into all these people.
So, for whatever reason or another, the New York Comic-Con is going to go on. And like I said, we won't be there. But between this Comic-Con and next year's Comic-Con, how many goddamn what if nebulas are we going to see?
Right. No, we're going
to see nebulas holding up signs saying cha-cha and all kinds of shit.
Some of them are going to be in the dress, and some of them are just going to be in like the actual fighting thing.
Black people dressed up as
Star-Lord.
It's,
and they're going to be T'Challa's. They can be T'Challa's Star-Lord as opposed to being dressed up, because we have seen some Black cosplayers who dressed up as Star-Lord, but it was always Peter Quill's Star-Lord. So now they can be T'Challa's Star-Lord and just be Black.
Right.
Or they can be Peter, it doesn't matter. I think I'm gonna have to figure out and research and maybe watch some of those videos from that one YouTube chick who takes the phone, and see if I can make the Gamora that's in the What If trailer for whatever that episode is where she has all that armor on.
Well, yeah, the Thanos armor.
See if that's something I can put together and then pull off.
Yep. So you're gonna strip?
What?
You said put together and then pull off.
Oh my gosh.
Wait. The hammer pulls you off?
Oh my gosh. This is my dad. So this was us not last year. Last year didn't happen. Last year was pandemic. In 2019. there were a lot of changes that were made to both of our costumes. I wore the space suit from the comics that Gamora has, and he did some upgrades to his costume, and he got better wig. This is all on our Instagram page. So this is us.
Yep. Yep. Jack King Kirby, baby. That's the only Thor I know.
My dad had a couple good features. There were a lot of good, we were in a video, couple videos in 2019 by that, like where he was taking like video. There were a couple of really good pictures of him taken by other photographers, like candid shots. So we like to fancy ourselves pretty cool people.
And we can't wait to get back all this stuff we watch, all this animated stuff, all this stuff on Disney Plus. These movies are just getting us going, getting us ready for next year's Comic-Con, which, God willing, that we can get more people vaccinated and get this damn COVID thing really underfoot and under control. Then it will be quite a bit safer for us to go. We can't wait to get back to Comic-Con and do our Saturday night thing and have steak dinner at Nick and Stef's steakhouse by Madison Square Garden. That is a thing we do in character every year that we've gone to Comic-Con, and we hope and pray that they survive through it, and that I'm sure that they're waiting for us and everybody else to come back in force, just like we're dying to get back to them and to all the other places that we would stop and eat and frequent and ride in the train and our outfits.
The mac and cheese truck.
Yeah, the mac and cheese. Ooh. The kids who'd be in the school buses seeing us heading out. Oh, it was just so much fun. But having said all that, what if, in my opinion, no matter how everything else is a smashing success?
Yes.
It is. I cannot comprehend that there will be a failed episode.
No.
I can't. I can't envision it. So
is that like a reference to Vision? You're just being coy.
Yeah, it's just so good, and it's such a delight, and it is such a treat. I tell people all the time when I hear people complain about like, oh, this is that, I'm like, I'm going on 60 years old, and I go, I remember when we had none of this, nothing. It was Batman doing this fake thing, climbing up the rope on the wall,
Adam West,
and George Reeve as Superman, and we knew he wasn't flying, but yeah, okay. And hey, guess what? We loved that. Buck Rogers, we loved all that stuff. To see what the quality of things that they have now, and there's still a lot of people bashing it and this and that. And I go, man, we didn't have that kind of stuff when I was young. Right. And I love it and appreciate it. I don't care whether it's DC, Marvel, I don't care what it is. We love it. And we're here for it, and we're there for it. So, but we got to get this COVID thing under control, people. We got to get it under control. So,
as a healthcare professional, please wear a mask or get vaccinated, whichever one is right for you. Talk to whoever you feel like you need to in terms of on your healthcare professional team. Do what's right for you, but please do one of the two. We are tired. We're so tired.
So that we can get back to having things freely without fear, like New York Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, any comic and
other cons.
That's what we want. Everybody keeps talking about, let's get back to normal and want to fight for it. Well, there's ways that we can really do that. And that's really what we want to do.
Yeah.
So that and of course, I got to stay in shape for for my outfit. So
Right.
I haven't let anything really go. So I'm ready for the outfit. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Gamora is skinny, so I'll be normal. I'll just continue to eat food all of the time as usual.
There you go. So we
Thank
like
you
to
for
thank
joining
you all.
us.
Yes, thank you. Please don't be afraid or ashamed to tell your friends that you enjoyed this.
Right.
About a father-daughter talking a bunch of shit about Marvel and other things, and peppering in a little life.
Right.
There's a little salt in there, but that's finely ground. So you can expect to see us for the next episode of What If, and we will also do an episode 1 summary.
Yes.
And again, we talk about it like people talk. And people do not talk in order. When you always talk about things jumping all over the place.
Right.
And yeah, I know for the purposes of this and that, but we're not here to review it. We're just here to talk about to each other what we liked about it, things we saw, things we found, and that's how we hold our thing. So we're all over the place, but we still get it all done.
It's organized chaos.
So this is my kid.
This is my dad.
And thank you for showing up for
Comic and Other Cons. Have a good one. Until next time.